All right, so here we are now at 15 minutes on our clock. We're looking for around an 18-minute first crack if everything goes on schedule. Remember, as we approach first crack, what we're going to want to do is make sure that our cooler over here is prepared. This is our RK Model T cooler. It's a suction mechanism to suck all the heat and the chaff down. We're going to turn that on right about the middle of first crack. And as we want to keep our temperature maintained, so we're going to add a little bit more gas. And as we're approaching the 18-minute mark, we expect to see first crack. So right now we're going to throttle the roast. We don't really know exactly if we're going to be too hot or too cold. If we're too hot, the roast is going to go much faster than anticipated. If we're too cold, then the roast is going to go a lot longer than anticipated. We're hoping if we have the right heat setting, then we're going to get first crack right at the 18-minute mark. I did just hear just now a cracking sound. We're now at 16 and a half minutes. That means we're a little bit hot. So because of that, I'm going to throttle down. And if you can actually hear it, I'm going to dump some of my heat. You can see some of the steam coming up. I heard just a couple of pops because that means I'm looking for the 18-minute first. We're at 16:33. That means we're running a little bit hot, a little bit fast. We're going to use heat kind of like the gas pedal in a car and slow down this roast. So I'm going to slow it down, drag it out. We're looking to finish this roast on time. Time is our critical factor here, not quite so much temperature. Now we're at 17 minutes. First crack is not yet fully developed. We'll come in here to the roaster so you can hear this a little bit. And that served a double purpose. It let you see the roaster, how it's spinning. It lets you hear the cracks, hopefully. And I've dumped some of my heat. That slows us down just a little bit. It's kind of what we want. We don't want to slow down too much. We don't want to dump too much heat or we could stall the roast. So in this case, the roast was too hot, but equally I could have started my roast and been too cool, and then we would have been very late. Right now, as we're approaching the 18-minute mark, if there were no signs of first crack, then that would be telling me I'm not hot enough and I would want to add in extra heat. If you look here in the background now, you can see a little bit of smoke and a little bit of steam. That tells us we're at first crack, obviously. You can hear it. So now as we're approaching the 18-minute mark, we're right on time. We're going to go ahead and give our heat and throw our heat back in. And now we are in the lull. We're just about to finish up with first crack. We're about to go into the lull between first and second. Ideally, on a big roast like this, we want to have about a 3-minute separation between first crack and second crack. In other words, an 18-minute first and a 21-minute second crack. So at no time do we ever want to take a roast beyond 21 minutes because we begin to dull and blah down the roast, and it just won't have that pop and vibrancy on the tongue that you're looking for. At this time, make sure you have your glove ready, your cooler is ready, because here in about 2 more minutes, we're going to have to unload, and we're going to have to unload the roast quickly. We don't want to be scrambling for gloves and scrambling to get our cooler plugged in, whatever else we need to do during that process. In that second crack moment, everything happens very quickly, very fast, and you want to be on top of your game. You don't want to be behind at that time. So I'm going to keep my heat at the 580. I'm a little hot. I'm going to dump some heat. And we're at 19 minutes on the clock. So here in about 20 to 21 minutes. Now typically, as second crack starts, it sounds like the cracking of Rice Krispies, or the snapping of twigs, or the snapping of matchsticks. When you hear that, that tells you you're at second crack. Now, typically you'll get a first firing, an early firing of second crack, and that isn't exactly where we want to pull the coffee. Typically, I'll tell people, wait till you hear about 10 of these snaps in a 10-second window. When you hear those snaps, about 10 of those snaps in any given 10-second period of time, that's a great place to pull it if you want a great, well-rounded medium coffee. You kind of can't go wrong with that. In this case, because I want to accentuate some of the darker flavors, the chocolatier flavors in this Nicaraguan, we're actually going to take it beyond 10 cracks in 10 seconds, beyond 10 and 10. We're going to take it over to a rolling second crack. That's a full-on rolling crack where it just can't get any faster. Be careful going past rolling second crack because it can get very dark very fast. And we can also end up with, if you go on much past that, a minute or two past that, you could actually set the roast on fire. You definitely don't want to do that. So we're now at we're at 20 minutes, 24 seconds. We really need to be coming up on second crack now. You can see this smoke coming up. Second crack smoke is a little heavier, a little wispier. That thickness tells us we're there. We're now at 20 minutes and 37 seconds. We should be right on time for our crack. All that smoke tells us we're just about there. We're listening now for the first crack of second. I call it a snap. It's more of a snap than a crack. The heavy smoke, it's wispier, more like cigarette smoke. That's what we're looking for. We're right there on the cusp of second crack now, and there it is. So there's my 10 and 10. I've got 10 snaps in 10 seconds. I would typically pull it right here, right now. But I want to take this a little bit darker. I'm going to go ahead and turn my cooler on. Have that ready. I've got wild cracking going on. Maybe you can hear it. And now I've got rolling second crack. I'm going to add 15 seconds to that. Watching my clock, I had about 15 seconds. That's full rolling second crack. There's about 15 seconds. I'm going to open the lid. I'm going to stop the drum. The order is important. I'm going to roll the door to the top. I'm going to pop open the latch. I'm going to reach out where my thumb is pointed to the door, around the back, carry it over to my cooler, open the door with the thumb, and spin and dump. If you dump slowly, you'll give it a chance for the chaff to collect out. Okay, now you can position the drum right back down on the ground and get ready for your next roast if you'd like to do that. Close the lid to conserve your heat. If you've lost a lot of heat while you were dumping, you can go ahead and go full power if you would like to get your heat back up quickly. And in the meantime, while the grill is coming back up, you can have an assistant load your drum, and then you want to stir your coffee to get some of that heat out of there. So the cooler is going to remove the chaff, and it's going to remove the heat all at the same time. And ideally you want to get this roast cool within about 4 minutes of time. We don't want it really staying very hot longer than that, because what ends up happening is the coffee continues to roast. If you take longer than 4 minutes to cool, I think it's going to end up darker than what you otherwise would have expected. So we'll keep stirring this to get some of this heat out. When it's cool enough to touch, you can actually grab a bean and pop it in your mouth, make sure it's cool, and kind of give it a taste. Chew it up, roll it around your tongue, kind of get an idea of what you did on your roast, and that works pretty well. Remember, as always, that coffee takes 24 hours to develop. So you can drink it now if you want to. After it cools down, you can grind it up and drink it, have at it if you like. But just know that 24 hours later, the coffee is going to be its best. The flavor will peak in 24 hours. I've actually seen it do even better at 36 and even 48 hours. Sometimes you'll have flavors jump out at you at 36 hours, even 48 hours. With this particular Nicaraguan, the chocolate seems to jump out by day 3. Every coffee's different. You just kind of have to experiment with it and see. And this is now cool enough to touch. You can kind of get an idea of the darkness of that coffee. Nice, good, chocolatey, dark coffee. Should be fantastic. And you can come in here and have a look at what we've got here, a close-up, and see remember that as you go darker on your coffee roast, it will lose more and more weight. So if you're in coffee roasting to make a profit, if they're not asking for the dark roast, stay a little bit lighter, you'll save some money. Now at this point, we're ready to go on roast number 2. So on this one, we've got another 4.5 pound load of Nicaraguan Isabella. We'll position our drum once again. Our roaster is already back up to temperature. We're ready to go. In this case, we didn't quite have our second load of coffee ready, but you can go back to back in about 15 seconds time. So I'm just going to load in the motor side first, drop the coupler in, close the lid, start the roaster, then off we go for another round. You should be able to load a second drum and start a second roast really from the time that it takes to unload, dump, put it back down, start it, fill it up again and put it back in. It's possible to do that in as little as 15 seconds. So we'll start the process once again. Go ahead and restart your stopwatch, and away we go.